I apologize that we did not get on our Monday podcast, but we had sickness and we had some technical difficulties, but we're back on track and we will be back every Monday. So let's get started. Can you believe that IEEE has published a book? Yeah, IEEE has published a book on project management, and it's called Boost Your Career by Learning the Basics. I don't have the book, but it is an ebook. It costs $3.99. If it comes from IEEE, I can almost guarantee that it's a quality product. If you're not, if you are an IEEE member, it only costs you $1.99. I would highly recommend that you download it and look at it. I plan to do that this week, and I'll give you an insight onto what it's all about. It's made for engineers, especially those in the electrical grid area. And it does say that the write-up about the book does say that there are a lot of exciting new projects in the electrical engineering area. So you may want to look at it and download it. Some of the things that they talk about are path to success. And one thing I found very interesting that I'd really not thought about is when you're giving feedback to management, whether it's written or whether it's face-to-face, but especially if it's face-to-face, have the person that did the work get up and talk. That gives them recognition instead of you passively, although you may not take credit for it and you may give the credit to the individual, the person giving the status report or the information about what's going on is passively thought of as the person doing it. And you and the project manager are coordinating it, but it doesn't mean that you're actually doing the work. So I highly recommend that you do that. Provide an opportunity for those that are doing the work to give the updates. Okay, next to the next item. Discover the construction project management software market leaders in the construction area. Just to give you an idea, there's Aconex Limited, Procore. Oracle does have a construction project management software. There's Viewpoint, Inc., Odoo, SA, Buildertrend, CMIC, Sage, CoConstruct, GNSoft, eBuilder, Yanyu, MyCollab, Jonas, Jinshi, Glodon, Red Team, and eSub. Again, I had no idea there were that many project management softwares in the construction area. But if you are in that area and you do have some insights into any of these softwares, I have insights into the Oracle and to the Microsoft, but I don't into the others. I really would like to have you on this podcast so that we can discuss it. You can download a free research report on these different softwares, and I will be doing that, and I'll give you some ideas on it. Next one. We have been talking about Flow last week, and Flow had launched a new portfolio project management software, an update to its version. Now it has redesigned version of its intuitive project and team software, management software. So if you're looking at Flow or you use Flow, again, I would like to hear from you. And I'd also like to hear what you think about this newest software. I do plan to go out to Flow's website and give you an idea of what I perceive about this software just based on their marketing and anything that they provide for free. So again, that's Flow, and they've redesigned their version of its intuitive project and team management software. So there is a public debate in Wyoming over 5,000 new well, oil, and gas drilling areas. And this is a brand new project that's going in, and it's going to bring in a lot of jobs, and including project management jobs. But there is a divide. There's the community where the 5,000 drills are going in, wells are going in. There's a divide on it, want to do, but it is expected to bring in $28 billion in revenue to the area. So you can imagine that a lot of people are very interested in this because it brings jobs. and jobs are paramount in keeping our economy going. So this is a great one for Wyoming. It'll be interesting to see what goes on with that public divide over 5,000 wells, oils, and gas project in Wyoming. Let's take a little different step right now. Let's see what PMI is doing. On 22 March, that's tomorrow, I've been talking about the PMXPO. It's an all-day event. It starts at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. I'm sorry, Eastern Daylight Time, because we are on Eastern Daylight Time now. We just had that change a couple of weeks ago. And this month's PMXPO, or I should say this quarter's PMXPO, is about the digital journey. So I highly recommend, if you can join it, you do so, because I have always found the PMXPO to have a lot of information. You also get PDUs for this, and it's done automatically, so you don't have to worry about inputting it. So if you are a member of PMI and you need some PDUs, go to the PMXPO. You can register for free, even if you're not a PMI member. What else is going on in PMI? Well, PMI has has a journal, the Project Management Journal, but they also have marketing magazines. One of us is PMI Today, another one is PM Network. They're both very good, and let's talk about what's in PMI Today in the latest version. Some of the things that, some of the articles are, it's time for difference makers. And it talks about this year's PMI EMEA Congress. The next one is customers, how to be the central point of their success. And it talks, there's two PMI board members talk about this. Collaboration and teamwork help global volunteers launch 2018 tasks. So it talks about the meeting that I went to in January called the Leadership meeting, how we got together and helped PMI launch for the next year of success. PMI-EF touches lives worldwide through innovative grants. PMI-EF is the educational foundation arm of PMI, so it's a nonprofit and it provides grants, whereas PMI itself does not provide grants. Also, just to give you a little bit of background, many years ago, well, I'm going to say about 10 years ago now, I was instrumental in methodology together. It now resides at PMI-EF, and I'm glad to say it's still alive and well. So if you are into an NGO that provides post-disaster rebuild after a disaster, a natural disaster, I highly recommend that you check this out. I am told it is now by leaps and bounds a much better product than what we put out, and I'm glad to hear that. And there's many more articles in the PMI Today, so I highly recommend you look at it. I've also talked about the ProjectIF Podcast. They have added a new one, and I kind of looked at how they do the added new podcast. They do it twice a month. So it comes out about the 21st of the month and on the 7th of the month. So the latest one is called Social Good, Leading Development Projects, and it's by Jane Caniff, and she is a new person for the podcasts. What she is talking about, she went from leading projects in the for-profit sector to going into care and other not-for-profit and especially NGOs that provide projects into developing countries. So if you're interested in understanding the difference between a for-profit and an NGO type project, I highly recommend you listen to it. It is a good listen. I did listen to it a couple of days ago, and it was great information. It's about 34 minutes long, so it's a little bit on the long side, but you can pause, put anything else and listen to it. And those areas that catch your attention, just listen to it more intently. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. So let's go back into articles right now, defining roles and responsibilities in project management. I found this article quite interesting because it was the very first sentence was, project management is a very much misunderstood profession that has often been equated to herding cats. And I absolutely agree to that. And he goes on to say, and the author is David Baker, goes on to say that much of this confusion comes from the fact that project management isn't a single discipline, but rather the practice of bringing a set of disciplines together in order to achieve a common goal. I highly agree with this. We have to understand leadership. We have to understand communication. We have to understand integration management. We have to understand human resource management. We have to understand resource management, those resources that are not human. We have to understand all those different areas, both soft skills and hard skills, in order to bring project management together. Now, I will say this article is on Prince 2 methodology and why it's so important. But a couple of things that Prince 2 methodology brings in that we also have if you are a PMI or any type of different project management methodology or discipline, but they talk about different types of projects and where they need to speak to. So corporate management needs to refers to the project sponsor, and this is due to the project board. This is the executive sponsors. This is the steering committee. They make decisions for your project if you level. You have the project manager who is responsible for day-to-day decision making. But that project manager must understand what things need to be brought up to the project board. And this is usually change management. Then you have the project team. The project team is making decisions as well. What are some other roles that they define within Prince 2, but we also define in the PMI method, PMI standards, and that's stakeholder roles. What do your stakeholders have to do with your project? Well, you have to keep them happy. And again, it goes back to herding cats. Stakeholders have different ideas, different thoughts, different wants. So you have to be able to kind of keep them informed and try to manage them in such a way that it is good for the project. Then it comes up with a different thing that I really hadn't thought of. I mean, it came into me intuitively, but you have to think of your project on whether it's specialist versus generalist. Is it a type of project that you can bring in just generalist and you'll get it done? Or is it a very specific project that you have to have specialized roles? And those are different types of management skills that you need for a project. So make sure that you understand those and bring them in and understand what type of management and leadership you need to bring to your project. Okay, so the next one is called Get Help Making a Career Switch to Project Management from the Comfort of Your Couch. And it's about online classes. I like to say buyer beware for online classes. There are some great online classes, and I'm going to give a plug here for PMI, the project vendor management that they call the registered education provider. If the online or face-to-face provider is registered with PMI, so it would be an REP, you're almost guaranteed that it meets a certain threshold and that you exam. Doesn't mean you will pass it. It just means that you are provided the tools and the information to pass it. You have to put in the studying and the understanding in order to pass the PMI exam but again, I would highly recommend that you look at REPs if you're trying to go for the PMP exam. Okay, let's switch from online training to New Zealand. I was absolutely fascinated with this article. This article talks about that New Zealand 3 Indonesians for geothermal project management course. Can you imagine that a government is actually bringing in 23 people from project managers from different countries, from Indonesia, to learn how to do geothermal project management? That is absolutely fascinating. We should have more countries sponsoring developing countries to understand project management and bring project management to their their own countries. So my hat's off to New Zealand for doing this. So I've been talking about project portfolio management and how it's just growing by leaps and bounds again in this era. The global project portfolio management PPM software market, I've also talked about other articles, says that it's an emerging technology. Investors should analyze it and should also invest in it. The 2018 market is just exploding. And it will so to 2023. In fact, they bring in the PMI report that I talked about before, how that we will be using PPM software, and again, it will be an exploding market through 2023. I would highly recommend that you download the sample report for this. I plan to do it, and I will give you some more information on it, so stay tuned on that. But the PPM software, if you are not a project portfolio manager, I highly recommend that you look into getting expertise in this, because it's an area in project management that's getting ready to explode. I am seeing more and more companies ask for so stay tuned. So DISA is the Defense Information System Agency in the United States. They've just let out another what we call a IDIQ type contract, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, but it has a ceiling of 17.5 for IT solutions and services. Most of the time, all of this money is dedicated to companies, and with this comes a lot of project management. Almost every IT solution and services will have to have a different area of project management. So if your company is on this DISA contract, I highly recommend that you put yourself in front of the person that is leading the effort for your company to get onto some of the project management of this 20 companies for Encore 3 IT Solutions Program. IDIQ is very big in the United States, in the government area, and there's a lot of projects that go on with this. So again, I hope that you will look into this, and if you're in one of those 20 companies, I highly recommend that you look into it. So what's going on in the area of project management? Remember, if you want to do webinars, I highly recommend that you go to the AMA, amanet.org. They have leadership webinars, they have project management webinars, they have communications webinars. So go to the American Management Association, that's again amanet.org. You can also find webinars, both recorded and live, at projectmanagement.com. There's a lot of information there, but you do have to be a member of PMI. Remember, there are seminars worlds going on. There's one going on shortly in Arizona, Phoenix. I highly recommend that you go there. I'm looking at my notes right now to see where else we have some. So again, go to all of those. We have the PMI XPO happening tomorrow. I highly recommend that you, if you haven't signed up, you go ahead and sign up. We have in Minneapolis, there's a Seminars World going on from 23 to 26 April. In Dallas, the next Seminars World is 7 to 10 May. Then the EMEA Congress, if you live in Europe and you're into project management, I highly recommend that you go to the EMEA Congress. That's from 7 to 9 May, and it's in Berlin, Germany. I understand Berlin, Germany is a beautiful area. I myself have not been there, but I look forward to going there sometime. Then the PMI Global Conference will be in Los Angeles this year, and it's from 6 to 8 October. Finally, I'd like to ask you to go to my website. It's www.pmcurrent.com. I would like you to subscribe to my YouTube, my LinkedIn, my Facebook account, and my Twitter account. There you can find different things and tips and treats that I want to give to you regarding project program and portfolio management. There's a lot of information there. You can access my previous podcasts. And remember, every Monday except for this week, which you will have my podcast out today, which is Wednesday, my podcast is out on Mondays. If you have any information on any of the articles that I have put out, I would love to hear from you, whether you agree with me or disagree. If I'm not covering something that you would like me to cover, please contact me. My email is wanda@pmpowered.com. I would love to hear from you. Also, next week, I'm going to do a little different area of portfolio management and program management. I'm going to actually look at the neuroscience of project management and some of the areas that can be brought in, from areas of IoT to AI. So stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing you next week.